Hello there, and welcome to the Sleepy Mystery Channel. Tonight, we'll be exploring the hidden world of secret societies. Throughout history, these obscure groups have always been lurking in the darkness, full of hidden knowledge and secret ceremonies. Some of these groups influenced politics, while others guarded sacred religious teachings. And some may have affected society in ways we'll never fully understand. We'll look at organizations such as the Illuminati, Freemasons, Skull and Bones, and the Knights Templar. We'll also explore older mystery traditions that have almost been forgotten. We'll even discover modern groups that might be influencing the world today. Some of these societies are well documented. Others are surrounded by stories that are much harder to verify. In several cases, the most interesting question is not whether the group existed, but how much power they really had. In tonight's exploration, we'll uncover their secret symbols, initiation rituals, and hidden knowledge that helped create these mysterious groups. If you enjoy these curious journeys, I invite you to like, subscribe, or share a thought below. It helps others find their way here too, one sleepy soul at a time. But for now, all you need to do is relax. Let your body soften and allow your eyes to grow heavy. And let your mind begin to gently unwind as we uncover these secret societies together. Let's begin. The legend of the Illuminati became more powerful after the real order disappeared. The historical Bavarian Illuminati existed for only a short period during the late 18th century. Yet its name eventually became shorthand for an almost unlimited hidden power. That transformation is one of the strangest stories in conspiracy culture. Once the original organization was suppressed, people began imagining that it had simply gone underground. Every generation then added new possibilities. Perhaps it had infiltrated governments. Perhaps it had merged with other private orders. Perhaps it had survived through family connections that left no obvious paper trail. None of these larger claims has been firmly demonstrated, but the lack of a visible organization only made the legend harder to kill. A secret group can be investigated while it exists. A vanished group can be imagined almost without limit. That may explain why the Illuminati grew more mysterious after disappearing. Its physical presence became smaller, while its cultural presence became enormous. The result is a society remembered less for what it demonstrably achieved than for what people continue to suspect it might have become. Secret societies have shaped political revolutions while leaving their true influence disputed. Whenever governments begin to weaken, private networks often become more important than they appear in public. Revolutionary movements have repeatedly depended on trusted circles where people could speak freely without attracting official attention. That secrecy creates a lasting problem for historians. If a society helped organize resistance, how much of the eventual revolution was really planned behind closed doors? In some cases, surviving letters suggest careful coordination. In others, later generations may have exaggerated the role of hidden groups because secret meetings make such explanations tempting. The fascination comes from the gap between visible events and invisible preparation. A protest may seem spontaneous, while months of private discussion lie behind it. A political slogan may suddenly spread because an organized network already exists. This does not prove that secret societies secretly control history. It does suggest that major events can have private beginnings, and those beginnings are often much harder to reconstruct than the revolutions themselves. Freemasonry hides ancient symbols inside traditions still practiced across the world. Freemasonry is unusual because much of it is visible, yet important parts of its ceremonial life remain private. Masonic lodges stand openly in towns and cities, but members still preserve traditional signs, ritual language, and symbolic teachings. Many of those symbols come from architecture. Tools used by builders become lessons about character and personal conduct. That is where the deeper mystery begins. Some people believe these symbols preserve fragments of knowledge passed down from much older traditions. Others see a more straightforward development from early modern fraternal culture. The historical record does not support every ancient origin story associated with Masonry, yet those stories have become almost inseparable from its identity. Egyptian temples, medieval builders, and biblical traditions have all been proposed as distant sources. What makes Freemasonry so compelling is this mixture of documented history and inherited legend. Its ceremonies are real. Its symbolism is real. The unanswered question is how far back the ideas behind them truly reach. Some powerful leaders belong to private brotherhoods whose meetings remain poorly documented. History becomes especially intriguing when public figures are known to have joined organizations that kept their internal discussions private. Membership alone does not prove secret coordination, yet it raises questions that official biographies cannot always answer. What did influential members discuss when reporters were absent? Did personal loyalties formed inside private groups affect later political decisions? Or important introductions made there before they became visible in public life? Often, the surviving evidence is incomplete. Meeting records may never have existed, or they may have been intentionally restricted. That uncertainty allows very different interpretations. One view sees these groups mainly as social clubs where ambitious people built friendships. Another sees them as informal networks where trust could quietly become influence. The truth may vary from case to case. Private organizations do not need to issue secret commands to matter. Simply bringing powerful people together can change who trusts whom. That makes undocumented meetings important, because influence often begins before any official decision is made. Skull and Bones has connected generations of influential Americans through secretive Yale rituals. At Yale University, Skull and Bones has fascinated outsiders for generations because its membership has included people who later entered powerful institutions. The society selects a small group of students each year and surrounds its internal life with unusual secrecy. Members meet inside a private building that has become part of the legend itself. Former members have included prominent political figures, business leaders, and other influential Americans. That alone guarantees speculation. Critics have wondered whether the society creates lifelong networks that continue long after university. Supporters usually describe it as an intense collegiate tradition rather than a hidden command structure. The real mystery lies somewhere between those extremes. Close relationships formed at a young age can matter decades later without requiring any formal conspiracy. Private rituals may strengthen those bonds even further because shared secrecy creates a powerful sense of belonging. Skull and Bones remains compelling because its influence is difficult to measure. The membership is visible enough to attract attention, while the internal experience remains largely protected. Ancient mystery cults promised initiates knowledge that outsiders were forbidden to hear. Long before modern secret societies existed, ancient religious traditions were already using initiation and secrecy to separate insiders from everyone else. Mystery cults offered experiences that could not simply be learned from a public sermon. A person had to be admitted, prepared, and guided through ceremonies that were often protected by strict rules. The most famous examples inspired extraordinary loyalty from participants, yet the central teachings were rarely written down in full. That silence is why they remained so fascinating. We know that initiates believed something meaningful happened to them. We know some traditions promised a new understanding of death or the divine. What we do not know is exactly what they saw, heard, or learned at the crucial moment. Later writers offered hints, but never enough to reconstruct the entire experience. This has encouraged endless speculation about secret dramas, sacred objects, altered states, and hidden teachings. Whatever happened inside, secrecy was not a side detail. It was part of the experience itself. The Knights Templar inspired centuries of theories about hidden treasure and forbidden knowledge. The Knights Templar began as a medieval military order, but their dramatic destruction created the perfect conditions for legend. They became wealthy, politically connected, and unusually powerful before being arrested under orders from the French crown. Their property was seized, their leadership was broken, and the order was formally dissolved. Yet stories soon grew around what might have escaped. Some traditions claim the Templars hid treasure before authorities could find it. Others imagine that they discovered secret religious knowledge during their time in the Holy Land. More ambitious theories connect them to lost relics, hidden bloodlines, or later secret societies. Evidence for these larger claims remains uncertain, but the mystery persists because the order disappeared under extraordinary circumstances. Sudden destruction naturally raises questions about what was removed beforehand. If important documents existed, they may never have survived. If valuables were moved, their destination remains unknown. The Templars therefore occupy a perfect space between documented history and enduring speculation, where the missing pieces often feel more powerful than the surviving ones. Bohemian Grove brings powerful figures together under rules designed to protect privacy. Every summer, a private retreat in Northern California has drawn intense curiosity because prominent men from politics, business, and public life have attended gatherings there. Bohemian Grove is not hidden in the literal sense. Its existence is widely known. The mystery comes from how little outsiders can observe about what happens inside. Members and guests socialize away from the normal pressures of public life, and the club strongly protects that privacy. Critics argue that any private setting involving influential people deserves scrutiny because relationships formed there could affect decisions later. Defenders describe the gathering as recreation rather than secret government. The truth is difficult to measure because influence rarely leaves a clean paper trail. One ceremonial tradition has attracted particular attention because outsiders often interpret it more dramatically than participants do. That difference between internal meaning and external suspicion has helped the Grove become a modern symbol of elite secrecy. It raises a simple question. What changes when powerful people can meet without the public hearing the conversation? Several revolutions have been linked to secret networks operating beyond official political structures. Open political opposition can become dangerous when rulers restrict speech, meetings, or publication. Under those conditions, resistance often moves into private rooms and coded communication. Secret networks have appeared around revolutionary movements in many countries because they allow people to organize before authorities understand what is happening. These networks can distribute messages, recruit supporters, and connect activists who might otherwise remain isolated. Yet their exact influence is rarely simple to calculate. A revolution can arise from economic pressure or public anger without being secretly engineered. At the same time, underground groups can help turn scattered frustration into coordinated action. That distinction is important. A hidden network may not create the crisis, but it can shape what happens once the crisis begins. This is why secret societies repeatedly appear in revolutionary history. They thrive where public organization is risky. Their secrecy can protect members while also making their later role easier to exaggerate. By the time the old order falls, the private planning may already be impossible to separate from the public uprising. Hidden initiation ceremonies often claim to reveal truths available only to chosen members. Initiation changes the meaning of secrecy because it turns knowledge into something a person must burn. Many private orders do not reveal everything at once. New members move through stages and receive additional teachings only after proving commitment. This structure can make ordinary information feel more powerful because access itself becomes part of the experience. The candidate knows that outsiders are excluded. The ceremony may also create emotional pressure that makes each revelation feel important. Some traditions present the hidden material as moral instruction. Others claim spiritual insight or symbolic knowledge. More speculative groups have gone further by suggesting that their inner teachings preserve truths misunderstood by the wider world. Whether those claims are genuine, exaggerated, or deliberately theatrical depends on the organization. What matters is the psychological effect. Knowledge feels different when it arrives after preparation and secrecy. An ordinary statement can seem profound when it is revealed inside a controlled ceremony. That helps explain why initiation remains one of the most enduring features of secret societies across very different cultures. Rosicrucian manifestos announced an invisible brotherhood that promised to transform European knowledge. In the early 17th century, mysterious publications appeared in Europe describing a secret fraternity devoted to unusual forms of wisdom and reform. The writers claimed that a hidden brotherhood existed whose members possessed knowledge capable of improving society. Readers became fascinated because nobody could easily prove who these people were. Some wanted to join. Others suspected the entire order might be a literary invention designed to provoke debate. That uncertainty became the Rosicrucian mystery. The manifestos blended religious ideas with visions of intellectual renewal and suggested that deeper truths had been preserved away from ordinary institutions. Even if the original brotherhood was partly symbolic, the effect was real. People began writing responses and claiming connections. Later, organizations adopted Rosicrucian identities of their own. The invisible society therefore became influential whether or not it existed exactly as described. That is what makes the story so unusual. An organization did not need a public headquarters or confirmed membership list to change European imagination. The possibility of its existence was enough. During the French Revolution, secret clubs became suspected engines of coordinated political change. Revolutionary France produced an atmosphere where public events moved so quickly that many people searched for hidden explanations. Political clubs were real, and some exercised considerable influence through organized debate and coordinated activism. Yet darker theories soon developed around supposedly deeper networks working behind those visible institutions. One influential claim argued that secret societies had deliberately prepared the revolution long before crowds filled the streets of Paris. Freemasons and Illuminati were frequently drawn into these accusations. The evidence for a single hidden command structure remains weak, but the theory became enormously influential in its own right. It offered a way to explain enormous social change through intentional planning rather than chaos. That idea proved irresistible to later conspiracy thinkers. Once people believe a revolution was secretly designed, every private meeting begins to look suspicious in hindsight. The French Revolution, therefore, became a turning point in the mythology of secret societies. It helped establish the enduring belief that dramatic political change might be the visible surface of a much older hidden plan. Pythagoras founded an exclusive community where mathematics became part of a hidden spiritual system. Pythagoras is remembered today for mathematics, but the community built around him was far stranger than a modern classroom. His followers lived according to strict rules and treated numbers as keys to understanding reality itself. Certain teachings were reserved for insiders. Members were expected to show discipline, loyalty, and respect for the group's unusual way of life. Later traditions describe periods of silence and carefully guarded instruction. This makes the Pythagorean community one of the earliest examples of knowledge being treated as both intellectual and sacred. Numbers were not merely tools for calculation. They were believed to reveal hidden order within the universe. Because the group left behind few reliable first-hand records, Separating history from later legend is difficult. That uncertainty has encouraged speculation that Pythagoras inherited secret wisdom from older civilizations. Such claims remain debated. What is clear is that his followers connected knowledge with initiation in a way that feels surprisingly modern. Their school became something closer to a private philosophical brotherhood than an ordinary academy. Modern conspiracy culture often combines unrelated societies into one imagined global network. A striking feature of modern conspiracy thinking is the tendency to connect separate organizations that arose in different centuries and for completely different reasons. Freemasons may be linked with the Illuminati. Ancient orders may then be added to modern clubs. Eventually, the theory becomes a single hidden system supposedly operating across history. This approach is powerful because every gap can be filled by another connection. If two groups share a symbol, that may be treated as evidence. If influential people belong to different private organizations, their relationships may be interpreted as coordination. The problem is that similarity does not automatically prove cooperation. Symbols can travel between traditions, and elite social circles naturally overlap. Yet the grand network idea remains appealing because it turns countless separate mysteries into one enormous story. It also creates a theory that is difficult to disprove. Any missing evidence can be explained as successful secrecy. In that sense, the imagined global network has become a kind of modern mythology, built from real organizations, but connected in ways the historical record does not clearly establish. Carbonari cells used secrecy to support revolutionary movements across 19th century Italy. Before Italy became a unified nation, secret political groups operated in a landscape divided between competing rulers and foreign powers. The Carbonari became one of the most famous. Their structure relied on private cells, coded language, and initiation. Members could support political change while reducing the risk that authorities would uncover the entire organization at once. The movement was connected with uprisings that challenged existing governments, and its secrecy made rulers deeply suspicious. What remains interesting is how the Carbonari balanced practical conspiracy with symbolic ritual. They were not merely discussing abstract ideas in private. At times, members were involved in genuine revolutionary activity. Their ceremonies also gave the organization an identity that went beyond politics. This combination helped create loyalty under dangerous conditions. The Carbonari show why secret societies can flourish when open political organization is restricted. Secrecy becomes more than mystery. It becomes protection. Their story also demonstrates how private brotherhoods can move from rumor into real historical consequence when underground networks begin influencing public events. Washington landmarks have inspired theories that Freemasons encoded secret messages into the Capitol. Maps of Washington have encouraged generations of people to search for hidden patterns in the city's streets and monuments. Because prominent Freemasons were involved in early American public life, some observers believe Masonic symbolism was intentionally embedded into the Capitol's design. Lines drawn between major landmarks are sometimes said to form meaningful shapes. Particular buildings are then interpreted through symbols associated with geometry or initiation. The difficulty is that city plans naturally produce angles and intersections, especially when broad avenues cross a grid. A convincing pattern can sometimes appear simply because the viewer already knows what shape to seek. Even so, the theory remains fascinating because Freemasonry genuinely influenced the symbolic culture of the period. Masonic ceremonies were connected with important civic events, and architectural symbolism mattered deeply to many people at the time. That makes the idea difficult to dismiss with a simple answer. The stronger claim of a deliberately encoded citywide message remains speculative. Yet Washington continues to invite interpretation because its monumental design was always meant to communicate meaning. Bavaria outlawed the original Illuminati only a decade after its creation. The historical Illuminati began in Bavaria in the late 18th century under Adam Weishaupt. Its members wanted to promote particular Enlightenment ideas while operating through a secret structure. The organization expanded by recruiting educated and socially connected men, but authorities soon became suspicious of clandestine groups. Government restrictions eventually targeted secret associations, and the Illuminati was suppressed. Documents seized during investigations revealed details about membership and internal planning. Instead of ending public interest, the crackdown produced the opposite effect. Once an organization is banned, people naturally wonder whether it truly disappeared or simply changed methods. Former members still existed. Personal relationships survived. Ideas could continue without formal meetings. This created the perfect foundation for later theories that the order had secretly endured. No reliable evidence proves the vast hidden continuation imagined by modern conspiracy culture. Yet the timing remains intriguing. The group had barely begun before it was forced underground. That short lifespan left an unusually large historical shadow, because suppression prevented anyone from watching what might have happened next. Private passwords allowed historical brotherhoods to identify members without revealing themselves publicly. Before identification cards and instant communication, a secret password could solve a very practical problem. Members of a dispersed organization needed a way to recognize one another without attracting attention. A phrase, response, or unusual exchange could confirm that two strangers belonged to the same network. Some groups combined passwords with gestures or signs, creating several layers of recognition. This was particularly useful when members traveled to unfamiliar places. A person could arrive in another town and establish trust without carrying written proof that might expose the organization. The method also created a strong psychological boundary between insiders and outsiders. Knowing the correct words meant belonging. Not knowing them meant remaining outside the circle. Over time, these practical systems became part of the mythology of secret societies. Stories about hidden phrases still suggest access to worlds ordinary people cannot enter. Yet their origin was often surprisingly functional. A secret society needed reliable authentication long before technology existed. The password was simply one of the earliest tools for making hidden networks possible. The Priory of Sion was presented as ancient despite evidence of modern fabrication. Few secret society stories demonstrate the power of manufactured history better than the Priory of Sion. It was promoted as an ancient organization with extraordinary connections stretching deep into Europe's past. Documents were placed in French collections that appeared to support a long lineage. Later investigations showed strong evidence that the supposed ancient order was largely a modern creation associated with Pierre Plantard. Yet the story did not disappear when the fabrication was exposed. Instead, it entered popular culture and became connected with theories about hidden bloodlines and guarded religious secrets. This reveals something important about mystery narratives. Once a compelling secret history becomes widely known, correcting the record may not remove its influence. People can continue exploring the possibility because the story feels larger than the evidence against it. Some even interpret exposure as another layer of concealment. The Priory of Sion therefore became a mystery for an unexpected reason. The question is no longer whether the grand historical claim is well supported. The mystery is why invented secret histories can become so durable. Yale's Skull and Bones owns a mysterious windowless headquarters known simply as the Tomb. The headquarters of Skull and Bones has become almost as famous as the society itself. Known as the Tomb, the building presents an intentionally closed face to the outside world. Its heavy appearance has encouraged endless curiosity about what members do inside. Because access is tightly controlled, ordinary architectural secrecy becomes part of the organization's legend. Outsiders have speculated about ceremonial rooms and unusual objects, although reliable descriptions remain limited. The building matters because physical spaces can strengthen secrecy in ways rules alone cannot. A private ritual feels different when it occurs inside a place reserved entirely for insiders. Every locked door reinforces the boundary between membership and exclusion. The tomb also gives the society something many modern private organizations lack: a permanent location that makes its secrecy visible. That creates an unusual paradox. The building announces that something private exists, while revealing almost nothing about it. Instead of hiding the society, the tomb makes people more aware of its presence. Its silence has become one of Skull and Bones' most effective sources of fascination. Medieval guilds helped inspire later secret societies through restricted membership and private traditions. Guilds were not secret societies in the modern sense, but they created a model that later brotherhoods could easily imitate. Skilled trades were protected by rules that controlled who could enter the profession and who could learn its methods. Apprentices advanced through recognized stages before gaining full standing. Certain techniques were treated as valuable knowledge that should remain within the craft. Meetings could also deal with money, discipline, and assistance for members. Over time, this combination of hierarchy and restricted information gave guild life an almost mysterious quality to outsiders. Later, fraternal organizations borrowed similar ideas even when they no longer practiced an actual trade. They kept the graded advancement and the sense that deeper knowledge belonged to those who had earned it. That connection has encouraged theories that modern secret societies descended directly from medieval craft organizations. The evidence is more complicated than that. Even so, guild culture clearly demonstrated how shared knowledge could create loyalty powerful enough to outlive the work that first created it. Mozart incorporated Masonic themes into music while belonging to Freemasonry himself. Wolfgang Amadeus Mozart did not merely encounter Freemasonry from a distance. He joined a lodge in Vienna and became personally involved in its cultural world. That membership matters because Masonic ideas later appeared in works associated with his final years. The most famous example is the Magic Flute. Its story includes trials, initiation, moral testing, and the search for enlightenment. Audiences can enjoy the opera without knowing anything about Masonry, yet listeners familiar with lodge symbolism have long noticed deeper connections. Some interpretations even search the music itself for patterns linked with Masonic numbers or ceremonial ideas. Not every proposed code is accepted, but Mozart clearly moved within a circle where private ritual and artistic expression could overlap. This raises an intriguing possibility about great works of art. A public audience may hear one story while initiated listeners recognize another layer beneath it. Mozart's music therefore offers a rare glimpse of how secret society ideas can escape the lodge without revealing the lodge itself. Propaganda has repeatedly blamed secret societies for events they may never have controlled. Secret societies make unusually effective villains because their secrecy can be used as evidence against them. When a government or political movement wants to explain a crisis, blaming a hidden organization can turn complicated events into a simple story. An enemy that cannot easily defend itself becomes even more useful. Pamphlets, speeches, and newspapers have accused private orders of directing revolutions or undermining national institutions from within. Sometimes genuine clandestine activity gave these fears a starting point. In other cases, suspicion grew far beyond anything the available evidence could support. The pattern can become self-reinforcing. The more a society denies controlling events, the easier it is for critics to say that denial proves how secretive it really is. This makes hidden groups uniquely vulnerable to myth-making. They may possess some influence while being blamed for far more. The deeper mystery is not only what secret societies actually did. It is how often the image of a secret society became a political weapon more powerful than the organization itself. Initiation oaths traditionally made secrecy a personal obligation rather than merely an organizational rule. A rule written in a handbook can be ignored. An oath spoken during an initiation can feel far more serious. Many fraternal traditions understood this difference and turned confidentiality into a personal promise. The candidate did not simply learn that certain information was private. The candidate actively agreed to protect it. That moment could transform secrecy from an administrative policy into part of a member's identity. Some historical oaths used dramatic language to emphasize loyalty, although the exact wording varied widely between groups. The important element was psychological. A member who had publicly committed before fellow initiates might feel bound even when no practical punishment was possible. This helped organizations preserve rituals across generations without relying entirely on written security. It also created one of the features outsiders found most unsettling. If members had promised not to speak, how could anyone outside the group know what was really happening? The oath protected the society, but it also created the silence that later allowed rumor to grow around it. The Hermetic Order of the Golden Dawn mixed ceremonial magic with strict inner ranks. Late Victorian Britain produced one of the most influential occult societies in modern history. The Golden Dawn offered members a structured path through ceremonial teachings that drew on astrology, mystical symbolism, and ritual magic. Advancement was divided into grades, which meant that different members had access to different levels of material. This was not casual spiritual discussion. The system was designed to feel like entry into a hidden tradition that unfolded step by step. Members studied complicated correspondences and performed ceremonies intended to transform their understanding of themselves. The order attracted several culturally significant figures, which helped its influence survive long after internal disputes weakened the original organization. What makes the Golden Dawn especially fascinating is how much later occult culture borrowed from it. Ideas that now appear across books and esoteric movements often passed through this small private society. Some followers believed its teachings preserved fragments of much older wisdom. Whether that ancestry was literal or reconstructed, the order successfully made modern ritual feel ancient. Revolutionary leaders sometimes used coded correspondence because discovery could mean arrest or exile. A revolutionary message can become dangerous the moment another person reads it. That reality forced underground movements to develop ways of communicating that concealed names, plans, or locations. Letters might use aliases instead of real identities. Ordinary phrases could carry meanings understood only by the recipient. Some messages were written in numerical codes, while others relied on invisible ink or trusted couriers. These methods sound like the tools of fictional spies, but political conspirators genuinely needed them. A single intercepted letter could expose an entire circle of supporters. Secrecy therefore shaped not only what revolutionaries said, but how they formed relationships. People had to decide who could be trusted with which information. Historians face the consequences even now. A surviving coded letter may reveal that an unknown network once existed, yet parts of its meaning can remain impossible to recover. That creates one of history's most compelling puzzles. We sometimes possess the evidence of a hidden conversation without possessing the knowledge required to understand exactly what the participants meant. Secret handshakes became practical identification tools, long before becoming symbols of conspiracy folklore. The secret handshake is often treated as a joke about mysterious clubs, but the basic idea once served a serious purpose. A member entering an unfamiliar lodge needed some way to establish identity without producing obvious documents. A particular grip or sequence of movements could provide that confirmation quickly. Because the signal was physical, it could be difficult for an outsider to imitate without instruction. Different levels of membership might even have different signs. Over time, these private gestures escaped into popular imagination. Novels and political cartoons began presenting the hidden handshake as proof that insiders could recognize one another everywhere. That image became so powerful that it survives even when the real procedures of a society are more complicated. The fascinating part is how such a small gesture can create an invisible social network. Two people may appear to be strangers to everyone around them, while instantly recognizing a shared affiliation. For outsiders, nothing unusual has happened. For the participants, a hidden connection has just been confirmed in plain sight. Adam Weishaupt designed the Illuminati as a hidden network inside Enlightenment-era Bavaria. Adam Weishaupt was a university professor who believed society could be improved through reason and intellectual reform. Yet instead of building an entirely public movement, he created a private organization with carefully controlled membership. The Illuminati used ranks and concealed identities, while members recruited people they considered suitable for advancement. Weishaupt wanted influence to spread through individuals who already occupied useful positions within society. That strategy has fascinated conspiracy culture ever since. It sounds strikingly similar to the modern idea of changing institutions from inside, rather than attacking them openly. Yet the historical organization remained much smaller than the worldwide force later imagined. Its ambitions were significant, but its practical reach was limited by internal tensions and government opposition. The intriguing question is why Weishaupt believed secrecy was necessary for ideas associated with reason and reform. His answer appears to have been practical. Open criticism could bring consequences. A hidden network allowed committed members to work gradually. That decision ultimately created a legend far larger than his organization. Women created their own secret societies when male fraternities excluded them from membership. The history of secret societies is often told through male organizations, yet women also built private networks with traditions of their own. In periods when major fraternities refused female membership, alternative orders offered women structured communities that could provide social connection and mutual support. Some were associated with existing fraternal movements. Others developed independent identities with private ceremonies and formal offices. Their secrecy served a different purpose from revolutionary underground cells. It could create a protected social space in a society where women's public roles were often restricted. Membership also allowed participants to organize charitable work or strengthen community ties beyond family networks. Because these groups attracted less sensational attention, many remain less familiar than male orders with similar traditions. That imbalance creates an interesting historical blind spot. The world of private ritual was never exclusively masculine, even when the most famous organizations were. Hidden networks could offer women a degree of agency that ordinary institutions did not always provide, which makes their quieter history worth recovering. The Oddfellows developed elaborate rituals around charity, mortality, and mutual assistance. At its height, the Independent Order of Oddfellows was a major presence in communities across the English-speaking world. Members joined local lodges that combined companionship with practical support. Before modern social programs became widespread, such organizations could assist families during sickness or hardship. Yet the Oddfellows surrounded this very practical mission with unexpectedly dramatic symbolism. Initiation ceremonies encouraged members to think about moral duty and the temporary nature of life. Lodge halls sometimes contained objects that startled later visitors because they were used as reminders of mortality. These features have inspired exaggerated stories about dark rituals. but their intended meaning was usually ethical rather than sinister. The contrast is what makes the order fascinating. A society devoted largely to fellowship and assistance developed ceremonies that could look mysterious to anyone seeing them without context. That gap between appearance and purpose is common in secret societies. An outsider might see an unsettling symbol. An initiate might see a lesson about responsibility. The same object can support completely different stories depending on who is looking. Chinese secret societies sometimes operated as brotherhoods, protection networks, and revolutionary movements. In Chinese history, the phrase secret society can describe organizations that performed very different roles, depending on the place and period. Some groups offered protection or mutual assistance to members who lacked strong official support. Others developed political ambitions and opposed ruling authorities. Shared rituals helped strangers treat one another as brothers, even when they came from distant communities. This made underground networks especially useful in times of migration or instability. Legends often connected these organizations with heroic resistance against unpopular rulers, although the historical reality could be far more complicated. Some societies later became associated with criminal activity, which further blurred the boundary between fraternity and underground enterprise. That complexity matters because no single explanation captures what these groups were. A society could begin as mutual support and later develop political goals. Another could use an honorable origin story to justify activities far removed from that past. Their changing identities reveal how secret organizations can adapt to whatever conditions surround them while preserving the language of loyalty and brotherhood. Scotland became central to competing legends about Freemasonry's supposedly ancient origins. Few places are more deeply tied to debates about the beginnings of Freemasonry than Scotland. Early records show organized lodges connected with working stonemasons, which gives the country an important place in the documented story. Yet legend goes much further. Some traditions suggest that hidden knowledge survived in Scotland through medieval builders or displaced military orders. Particular chapels have become magnets for these theories because their carvings appear unusual enough to invite symbolic interpretation. Supporters of ancient origin stories see clues pointing toward traditions far older than formal Masonic institutions. More cautious historians argue that later Freemasonry developed gradually from lodge culture rather than descending unchanged from a forgotten brotherhood. What makes Scotland so compelling is that genuine early evidence sits beside much larger speculation. There really were old lodges. There really are remarkable buildings connected with later legends. The unresolved question is how much continuity exists between those facts. Scotland therefore provides the ideal setting for anyone searching for the moment when practical craft traditions may have transformed into symbolic fraternity. Hidden membership lists make the true size of many secret organizations impossible to establish. Counting the members of a secret society can be surprisingly difficult. Some organizations deliberately avoid complete public records because anonymity protects the people involved. Others preserve names only in local archives that were never collected into a central register. War, political suppression, and simple neglect can remove even more evidence. This creates a strange problem when researchers try to measure influence. A society might appear tiny because only a few confirmed names survive. It might also appear enormous because later claims assign membership to famous people without reliable proof. Neither picture is necessarily accurate. Estimates can therefore depend on incomplete documents and indirect references. A letter mentioning an initiation may confirm one person while revealing nothing about hundreds of others. This uncertainty has major consequences for conspiracy theories. If nobody knows exactly how many members existed, almost any larger number can be imagined. The missing list becomes part of the mystery. Sometimes the absence reflects successful secrecy. Sometimes it reflects ordinary historical loss. From the outside, those two explanations can look remarkably similar. The Thule Society later became surrounded by claims connecting occult ideas with German nationalism. The Thule Society emerged in Germany during the turbulent period surrounding the end of the First World War. It combined nationalist politics with interests in Germanic mythology and ideas that were common within certain esoteric circles of the era. Its members became connected with political activity in Munich, which later encouraged claims that the society secretly stood behind the rise of Nazism. The reality is more complicated. Some individuals associated with Thule moved within circles that helped shape early radical politics. Yet later stories often expanded that connection into a hidden occult command center for everything that followed. Popular culture then added ideas about magical rituals and supernatural agendas. These dramatic versions go well beyond what surviving evidence demonstrates. Even so, the society matters because it shows how fringe belief and political extremism can occupy the same social spaces. Once later, events became historically enormous, people looked backward for secret causes. The Thule Society provided a mysterious candidate, and its esoteric reputation made the explanation feel even more compelling. Some secret fraternities used elaborate costumes to make initiation ceremonies psychologically unforgettable. A private ceremony becomes far more powerful when it looks completely different from ordinary life. Secret fraternities understood this long before modern psychologists studied ritual behavior. Robes, masks, unusual lighting, and specially arranged rooms could transform an initiation into an experience a candidate would remember for decades. The costumes were not always meant to frighten. They might represent historical figures or moral concepts within the society's symbolic story. Yet to an outsider who encountered a photograph without explanation, the scene could look astonishingly strange. This disconnect helped fuel stories that apparently theatrical rituals must conceal sinister beliefs. Inside the group, the same costume might function like scenery in a play. It helped the initiate enter a controlled narrative where each stage carried a lesson. Such ceremonies also strengthened group identity because members shared memories that outsiders could not fully understand. The spectacle, therefore, served a practical social purpose. It made belonging feel significant. In the secret society, the more unforgettable the initiation becomes, the harder it is to regard membership as ordinary. Colonial authorities often feared private societies because they could organize resistance outside official institutions. An empire can monitor public meetings far more easily than private ones. That simple fact made secret associations especially alarming to colonial governments. Officials often worried that local societies could spread messages or coordinate opposition beyond normal administrative control. A group did not need thousands of members to create anxiety. It only needed trusted links between communities that authorities could not easily observe. In some colonies, officials banned particular associations because they suspected them of encouraging rebellion. These restrictions could have an unintended effect. Once a society was prohibited, its members had even more reason to hide their activities. Ordinary cultural or mutual aid groups could then be viewed through a political lens simply because they met privately. The resulting suspicion sometimes became larger than the actual threat. Yet the fear was not entirely imaginary. Underground networks genuinely could move information faster than rulers expected. This created a recurring contest between visible authority and invisible organization. Colonial governments controlled the institutions on paper, while private societies could build loyalties that official structures struggled to reach. The Bavarian Illuminati reportedly used classical pseudonyms to conceal members' real identities. Inside the historical Illuminati, secrecy extended even to the names members used when communicating about one another. Classical pseudonyms help protect identities while also giving the organization a distinctive internal culture. Adam Weishaupt used the name Spartacus, which connected him symbolically with the ancient rebel who challenged Roman power. Other members received aliases drawn from antiquity. Places could also be renamed in correspondence, creating a second layer of concealment around the group's activities. The practical value is obvious. If a letter was intercepted, an unfamiliar name might protect the person being discussed. Yet pseudonyms also did something more subtle. They allowed members to step into a new identity once they entered the order. The outside world knew one person. The inner circle knew another. That division between public identity and secret identity is one of the most psychologically interesting features of clandestine groups. A code name can begin as security, then become a symbol of belonging. Within the Illuminati, even a person's name could mark the boundary between ordinary life and the hidden network. College secret societies transformed exclusivity into a tradition that survives on modern campuses. Universities are ideal environments for secret societies because they bring ambitious young people together at the moment when lifelong friendships are forming. Private campus organizations can offer something ordinary clubs cannot. Membership itself becomes a mark of selection. The knowledge that only a few students are invited can make the group feel important before anyone knows what happens inside. Some societies emphasize social bonds. Others cultivate elaborate histories that connect current members with generations of alumni. Those alumni networks can later become part of the organization's mystique when former members achieve public success. Critics may see a system where privilege reproduces itself through private relationships. Members may experience something much simpler, a close community built during university life. Both interpretations can exist at once. What matters is that secrecy magnifies the significance of selection. If everyone knew the criteria and ceremonies, the society might feel less extraordinary. By keeping parts of the experience private, campus orders turn ordinary friendship networks into traditions that can survive long after graduation. The Bilderberg meetings fuel suspicion because influential participants gather behind closed doors. Since the 20th century, the Bilderberg meetings have attracted attention because invited participants have included prominent figures from politics, finance, academia, and business. The gatherings are private, which allows attendees to discuss international issues without the normal pressure of public quotation. Organizers argue that this encourages candid conversation. Critics see the same privacy very differently. When influential people meet away from cameras, they wonder whether decisions are being shaped without democratic scrutiny. The crucial distinction is between discussion and control. There is no solid evidence that Bilderberg functions as a secret world government, yet informal conversations can still influence how powerful people understand major issues. That possibility keeps the meetings permanently interesting. Participants do not need to sign a hidden treaty for relationships formed there to matter later. A shared idea can travel back into institutions through ordinary professional channels. This is why Bilderberg occupies such a fascinating middle ground. The meeting is real and the attendees can be influential. The enormous machinery imagined around it remains far harder to demonstrate. Underground lodges sometimes preserved banned political ideas during periods of censorship and repression. When a government controls what can be printed or publicly discussed, private meeting places can become shelters for forbidden thought. Underground lodges have sometimes offered exactly that kind of space. Members could exchange books, debate political ideas, and maintain contact with people who shared views considered dangerous by authorities. The secrecy was not necessarily dramatic. It might simply involve trusted invitations and careful control over who entered the room. Yet that small layer of protection could keep an idea alive through years of repression. This matters because political movements often appear to emerge suddenly when censorship ends. In reality, some have spent decades surviving in hidden networks before becoming visible. Private societies can therefore act like containers for beliefs that public institutions are trying to erase. Their influence may remain impossible to see until conditions change. Once restrictions weaken, the underground network already has relationships and shared language in place. What looks like a new movement may actually be an old conversation finally stepping into public view. Freemasons built organizational networks that crossed borders before modern international institutions became common. Long before international conferences became routine, Masonic lodges created connections between members living under different governments. A traveler who entered a recognized lodge abroad could encounter people who shared familiar rituals and organizational customs. This did not erase national loyalties, but it created another layer of identity that crossed political boundaries. Merchants, military officers, and professionals could find fraternity in places where they might otherwise know nobody. That international character later encouraged very different interpretations. Admirers saw evidence of universal brotherhood. Critics feared a private network whose loyalties might compete with those owed to church or state. Both reactions reveal how unusual such connections once seemed. Today, international organizations are normal. In earlier centuries, a voluntary network linking people across borders could appear remarkably powerful. Freemasonry demonstrated that a society did not need a single global government to create international relationships. Shared symbols and recognition were enough. That ability to connect strangers across frontiers became one reason the movement fascinated supporters while alarming suspicious authorities. The Marley Maguires remained surrounded by debate over whether they were organized conspirators. In 19th century Pennsylvania, Irish immigrant miners became associated with a shadowy organization known as the Marley Maguires. Mine owners and investigators accused the group of using violence to fight powerful industrial interests. Trials followed, and several men were convicted after evidence that included testimony from an undercover operative. Yet historians have continued debating what the Marley Maguires actually were. One interpretation presents them as a coordinated secret organization. Another sees the label as a convenient way to discredit workers resisting dangerous conditions and harsh economic control. The truth may not fit neatly into either version. Individual acts could have occurred without the enormous underground conspiracy imagined by opponents. The uncertainty is intensified because much of the surviving story comes from people with strong interests on both sides. That makes the case a classic secret society problem. Was there a disciplined hidden network, or did authorities create a larger organization from scattered resistance? More than a century later, the name still carries a mystery that the courtroom verdicts never completely settled. Secret societies frequently divide members into ranks that reveal information gradually. A person who joins many initiatory organizations does not receive every secret on the first evening. Instead, knowledge is often divided into levels. Each stage brings new symbols or responsibilities that were hidden at the previous one. This structure gives advancement a powerful sense of momentum. Members always know that something else lies ahead. It also protects the organization because lower-ranking participants cannot reveal information they have never received. Yet the system creates another possibility that has fascinated outsiders. If ordinary members know only part of the story, perhaps even they do not understand what the society ultimately wants. Conspiracy theories often take this idea to an extreme by imagining tiny inner circles secretly directing much larger organizations. Sometimes hierarchical secrecy genuinely works that way. In many fraternities, however, higher degrees simply add ceremonial teaching rather than revealing a hidden political agenda. The fascination survives because outsiders cannot easily tell the difference. A system built around gradual revelation naturally invites one final question. What, if anything, waits at the very top? 19th century newspapers helped turn hidden brotherhoods into objects of mass public fascination. The rise of mass newspapers changed secret societies in an unexpected way. Organizations that had once been known mainly through local rumor could suddenly become national stories. Editors understood that readers were fascinated by hidden rituals and private oaths. Reports about mysterious lodges therefore had enormous appeal, especially when they promised to reveal something members supposedly wanted concealed. Exposés began publishing descriptions of ceremonies and internal customs. Some accounts were accurate enough to anger organizations. Others were exaggerated because sensational details sold papers. The result was a strange feedback loop. Secret societies attracted journalism because they were private. Journalism then made them famous precisely by emphasizing how much remained unknown. Public fascination could even strengthen the mystique that exposure was supposed to destroy. A revealed ritual might answer one question while creating several more about its meaning. This period helped establish the modern media image of the secret society. Closed doors became a story in themselves. The less an organization wished to explain publicly, the more newspapers could invite readers to imagine what happened inside. The Society of the Cincinnati once alarmed Americans who feared a new hereditary elite. After the American Revolution, officers of the Continental Army created the Society of the Cincinnati to preserve friendship and support former comrades. Membership could pass to descendants, and that hereditary feature immediately worried some people in the new republic. America had just fought a monarchy, so anything resembling a permanent aristocratic order looked suspicious. Critics feared that successful military families might become a privileged class with influence passed from generation to generation. The society was not a hidden government, yet the controversy shows how quickly private associations can become political symbols. Even George Washington's involvement could not completely erase public unease. The fear was really about what the organization might become. A hereditary network of respected families could theoretically accumulate power without holding formal office as a group. That possibility mattered in a nation still deciding what Republican equality should mean. The Society of the Cincinnati survived, but the early suspicion surrounding it reveals something timeless. People often fear secret or exclusive groups most when their future influence cannot yet be measured. Ritual masks can allow members to surrender ordinary identity during private ceremonies. A mask changes more than a face. Inside a private ceremony, it can temporarily remove the social identity a person carries outside the group. Occupation, status, and reputation become less visible when everyone participates under the same symbolic rules. Some societies have used masks to represent figures within ritual stories. Others have used concealment to create anonymity during particular stages of initiation. The effect can be strangely powerful. A candidate who cannot immediately recognize everyone in the room may feel separated from ordinary life and more dependent on the ceremony's structure. Outsiders often interpret masked gatherings as evidence that participants are hiding something sinister. Yet, ritual disguise appears across many cultures for reasons that have nothing to do with conspiracy. The mystery comes from context. A mask can symbolize equality or transformation. It can also protect identity. Because these meanings overlap, photographs of masked ceremonies invite endless speculation. What appears threatening from outside may feel completely ceremonial from within, and secrecy ensures those interpretations rarely meet on equal ground. African secret societies have historically served religious, judicial, educational, and political roles. Across parts of Africa, private initiatory societies have sometimes functioned as major community institutions rather than marginal clubs. Their responsibilities could extend deeply into everyday life. Some guided young people through transitions into adulthood. Others helped enforce social rules or preserve religious traditions. Membership might connect an individual with knowledge that was considered inappropriate for outsiders or for people who had not reached a particular stage of life. European observers often misunderstood these institutions because they interpreted secrecy through their own fears about hidden organizations. In reality, a private society could be embedded openly within community structure even if its ceremonies remained restricted. That difference challenges the usual image of secrecy. Something can be secret without being invisible. Everyone may know that the organization exists while still respecting boundaries around what initiates are permitted to reveal. This model is ancient and remarkably durable. It suggests that secrecy does not always signal conspiracy. Sometimes secrecy itself gives knowledge value by marking the moment when a person is considered ready to receive it. Revolutionary Serbia contained covert networks whose members later became entangled in European crisis. In the years before the First World War, Serbian politics included secret nationalist networks whose ambitions reached beyond ordinary government channels. One of the most notorious became known as the Black Hand. Its members supported the idea of uniting South Slavic populations and used clandestine methods to pursue political goals. The organization included military officers, which made its existence especially alarming. Parts of its network became connected with the events surrounding the assassination of Archduke Franz Ferdinand in Sarajevo. That assassination helped trigger the July crisis and the wider war that followed. Historians still distinguish carefully between the actions of conspirators and the policies of the Serbian state, because the two were not identical. This distinction is crucial. A secret group operating inside a country can affect international events without representing the entire government. The Black Hand demonstrates how dangerous that gap can become. A relatively small, clandestine network helped create consequences far larger than itself. Secret societies rarely offer a clearer example of hidden action colliding with world history. The Ku Klux Klan borrowed secret society structures while becoming a violent extremist movement. The Ku Klux Klan used many familiar features of secret fraternities, including private membership and ceremonial titles. Yet those structures were directed toward intimidation and racist extremism rather than ordinary fellowship. Members concealed their identities partly because anonymity made threats more frightening and reduced personal accountability. The organization also developed invented ranks that gave its internal world a theatrical quality. That mixture of secrecy and spectacle helped create an image larger than the actual membership at different points in its history. Later revivals deliberately used publicity while still presenting themselves as a mysterious brotherhood. The contradiction was useful. A movement could seek public influence while hiding individual participation. The Klan's history, therefore, shows how secret society methods can be adapted for deeply harmful purposes. The same organizational tools used elsewhere for mutual support or private ritual can become instruments of coercion when the goals change. This is an important reminder that secrecy itself is morally neutral. What matters is what people choose to protect behind it and what they do with the protection secrecy provides. Anonymous membership sometimes protected dissidents while also making organizations easier to mythologize. Anonymity can be a lifeline when belonging to an organization could cost someone employment, freedom, or safety. Dissidents living under authoritarian rule have often needed to conceal participation simply to keep operating. A hidden name can prevent authorities from tracing one person through another. Yet the same anonymity that protects real members creates enormous uncertainty for outsiders. If nobody knows exactly who belongs, rumors can expand almost without limit. Famous politicians may be quietly added to supposed membership lists. Entire professions can be accused of hidden loyalty. The organization becomes simultaneously safer and more mysterious. This creates a strange trade-off. Successful secrecy protects individuals, but makes the public image of the group harder to control. Members cannot easily correct false claims without exposing themselves. As a result, myths can grow around an organization faster than facts emerge from within it. Anonymity therefore changes the historical record itself. Future generations may know why the society existed, while never knowing who actually participated. In some cases, the missing identities become the most enduring mystery of all. The Order of Assassins became the subject of legends far beyond surviving historical evidence. Few medieval groups have been surrounded by stories as dramatic as the Mizrahi Ismailis, who became known in the West as the Assassins. Their enemies described them as fanatically obedient killers who could strike powerful targets almost anywhere. Later, European accounts added tales of secret gardens and mind control that are difficult to support from reliable evidence. What is certain is that the group survived in hostile territory by controlling fortified strongholds and using carefully planned attacks against selected political opponents. Their reputation became so powerful that fear itself may have worked as a weapon. A ruler did not need to be attacked to understand the message. The possibility could be enough. Over time, fact and legend became almost impossible to separate in popular imagination. The very word assassin eventually entered European languages through this history. That is an extraordinary legacy for a relatively small medieval community. Its greatest power may have been not simply what its members did, but what generations of outsiders came to believe they were capable of doing. Victorian occult groups treated secret instruction as a path towards supposedly hidden ancient wisdom. During the 19th century, Europe experienced a renewed fascination with magic and ancient religion. Private occult groups offered something especially attractive to people who believed modern society had lost access to deeper knowledge. Instead of presenting everything publicly, these organizations taught ideas through restricted lessons that became more elaborate as members advanced. Egypt often appeared in their symbolism because many Victorians imagined the ancient world as a storehouse of forgotten wisdom. Hebrew mysticism and Renaissance magic also influenced the material. Members could feel they were recovering fragments of a tradition that had survived beneath ordinary history. Whether those traditions truly extended back to antiquity was often impossible to demonstrate. Much of the material was reconstructed from books available at the time. Yet secrecy changed how it felt. A teaching encountered in a private chamber could seem more ancient than the same words printed openly. Victorian occult societies therefore helped popularize a powerful modern idea. Perhaps important knowledge was never lost at all. Perhaps it had simply been kept away from most people. Some fraternal temples deliberately borrowed architectural styles associated with vanished civilizations. Walk past certain historic lodge buildings and the architecture can look more like an ancient monument than a meeting hall. Fraternal organizations sometimes chose Egyptian or classical designs because these styles carried powerful associations with age and mystery. Columns, carved symbols, and monumental entrances could make a relatively modern society appear connected with a much deeper past. The effect was deliberate, even when no claim of literal descent was intended. Architecture gave members a physical environment that reinforced the significance of their ceremonies. It also influenced outsiders. A building covered in unfamiliar symbols naturally invites questions about what happens behind the doors. Some people later interpreted these designs as evidence that secret orders possessed knowledge inherited from ancient civilizations. The simpler explanation is that 19th and early 20th century societies were fascinated by antiquity and used its visual language freely. Even so, the choice created a lasting mystery. Modern organizations built themselves inside imagined ancient worlds, and the buildings, sometimes outlived the groups that created them. The Fenian Brotherhood used clandestine organization to support Irish independence across national borders. Irish revolutionary politics in the 19th century did not remain confined to Ireland. The Fenian Brotherhood developed a powerful base in the United States among immigrants who wanted to support independence from British rule. Members raised money and built networks that stretched across the Atlantic. Their activities show how a secret movement can become international without controlling any government. American supporters could operate with freedoms unavailable to activists living under British authority. That created opportunities for planning that crossed national boundaries in unexpected ways. Some Fenian actions were remarkably bold. Members even attempted raids into British North America in the hope of pressuring Britain through territory that later became part of Canada. These campaigns did not achieve the dramatic result their organizers wanted. Yet they demonstrated that political exile did not necessarily end revolutionary activity. It could relocate it. The Fenian story reveals a hidden geography of rebellion, where loyalty followed people across oceans. A society formed around one nation's struggle could quietly build strength thousands of miles away. Secret ballots inside private orders could determine who advanced into higher levels of membership. Joining a private society does not always mean automatic acceptance by everyone already inside. Some fraternal orders developed voting systems that allowed existing members to decide whether a candidate should enter or progress. The ballot could be anonymous, which meant even the candidate might never know who objected. This created an unusual kind of social power. A person's reputation outside the lodge could suddenly determine access to opportunities inside it. In extreme cases, a small number of negative votes could stop advancement entirely. Such systems were meant to protect trust within tightly bonded organizations. They also created fertile ground for speculation about favoritism and invisible gatekeeping. If membership opened important social connections, then the people controlling admission indirectly controlled access to those relationships. No grand conspiracy was required. A quiet vote behind closed doors could change someone's path without leaving a public explanation. This is one reason exclusive societies can seem influential even when their ceremonies are harmless. The most important secret may simply be who gets allowed further in. The Freemason symbol of the square and compasses carries multiple interpretations among different traditions. Few secret society symbols are more instantly recognizable than the square and compasses. Both tools come from the craft of building, yet within Freemasonry they developed moral meanings that extend far beyond construction. The square can represent honesty or upright conduct. The compasses can suggest restraint and the importance of setting limits on behavior. Different jurisdictions may explain the symbolism with slightly different emphasis. In some versions, the letter G appears between the tools and is interpreted in more than one way. That flexibility helped the emblem become powerful because it does not depend on one narrow definition. It can carry practical and philosophical meaning at the same time. Outsiders have sometimes treated the symbol as evidence of a hidden universal code. Yet much of its appeal may come from something simpler. Builders used geometry to create order from raw material. Freemasonry turned that physical act into a metaphor for shaping character. A working tool became a sign that millions of people now associate with hidden fraternity. Many supposed Illuminati symbols existed centuries before the historical Illuminati itself. One of the strangest things about modern Illuminati theories is how often symbols are assigned to the order even though they are much older. Pyramids and radiant eyes frequently appear in conspiracy discussions because they seem mysterious and authoritative. Yet these images have long histories in religion and art that developed independently of Adam Weishaupt's organization. This matters because a symbol can acquire a new meaning simply through repetition. Once people are told that a certain image represents the Illuminati, they begin noticing it everywhere. Each new appearance can then seem like further confirmation. Album covers and architecture suddenly become part of a single hidden pattern. The historical timeline creates an obvious problem. Many of the images existed before the Bavarian group was founded. Some people respond by suggesting the Illuminati inherited symbolism from an older, secret tradition. That possibility is popular in fringe theories but lacks firm evidence. The result is a fascinating case of cultural feedback. A modern conspiracy can become so powerful that it rewrites the apparent meaning of ancient symbols. Clandestine printing presses allowed banned groups to circulate ideas while avoiding government scrutiny. Before radio or the internet, controlling a printing press meant controlling one of the fastest ways to spread political ideas. Governments understood this and often censored publications they considered dangerous. Underground movements responded by creating hidden systems for producing pamphlets and newspapers beyond official oversight. A press could be moved into a private room and operated at night. Finished material might then be distributed through trusted contacts who never knew the entire network. This created a secret infrastructure for ideas. Authorities could arrest a writer without necessarily finding the printer. They could seize one batch while another was already circulating elsewhere. The technology was simple, but the political effect could be enormous. A few hundred sheets might carry a forbidden argument across an entire city. Readers could copy the message further. That made clandestine printing one of the most important tools available to secret political movements. The underground press shows that secrecy is not always about hiding knowledge. Sometimes it is about keeping knowledge alive long enough to escape suppression. The Sons of Liberty operated through secrecy during growing resistance to British rule. Before the American Revolution became an open war, resistance often depended on informal networks that could mobilize people quickly. The Sons of Liberty emerged in this environment as activists opposing British policies and taxation. Their organization was not a single, perfectly controlled society, yet secrecy played an important role in some activities. Anonymous communication and private planning reduced the risk of punishment. Members could coordinate demonstrations while leaving authorities uncertain about who was responsible. The Boston Tea Party became the most famous action associated with this culture of resistance. Participants concealed their identities during the event, which allowed an unmistakable political message to be delivered without presenting officials with an easy list of suspects. Later, American memory often turned these activists into straightforward patriotic heroes. At the time, British authorities viewed them as dangerous agitators operating outside lawful institutions. That contrast is revealing. The same hidden network can look completely different depending on which side of history is observing it. Secrecy helped resistance grow before independence made that resistance respectable. Secret societies sometimes created fictional histories to make themselves appear older and more powerful. Age creates authority. A society founded last year may seem like a club. A society claiming to descend from ancient sages can feel like the guardian of something important. For that reason, some organizations have developed origin stories that stretch far beyond what surviving documents can prove. Founders may connect their teachings with lost schools or legendary brotherhoods. These stories can begin as symbolism rather than deliberate deception, but later members may treat them as literal history. Once repeated for generations, the distinction becomes difficult to recover. An invented lineage can even influence real behavior by giving members a sense of responsibility toward an imagined past. Outsiders may then take the claim seriously and search for archaeological or documentary evidence that was never there. This creates an unusual historical paradox. A false story can still have genuine consequences. People can build institutions and traditions around something that never happened. Secret societies are especially vulnerable to this because restricted records make extraordinary ancestry harder to check. The older the claim becomes, the more impressive it can sound. The Order of the Eastern Star developed alongside Freemasonry with its own symbolic ceremonies. The Order of the Eastern Star emerged as a fraternal organization connected with the wider Masonic world while allowing both women and men to participate. Its ceremonies developed a symbolic structure distinct from regular Masonic lodge work. 5 central figures from biblical tradition became associated with moral lessons that members encountered through ritual. The order spread widely and built chapters and communities where fraternal organizations were important parts of social life. To outsiders, its star emblem could look mysterious, because each point carried an internal meaning understood through membership. Yet the organization was also highly visible through charitable activities and public events. This mixture of openness and ceremonial privacy is important. A society can keep aspects of its ritual restricted while functioning openly within everyday community life. Eastern Star shows that secrecy does not always imply political ambition or hidden power. Sometimes the private element exists mainly to make membership meaningful. Even so, its close relationship with Freemasonry has ensured that it occasionally appears in wider theories about interconnected fraternal networks. Political prisoners have formed hidden brotherhoods to communicate under constant surveillance. A prison seems like the worst possible place to create a secret organization, yet extreme surveillance can make hidden networks more necessary. Political prisoners have developed coded ways to share information when ordinary conversation was monitored. Messages might travel through walls or be passed inside harmless objects. Trusted individuals could relay news between cells while concealing who originally sent it. Over time, these communication systems could create something resembling a private brotherhood built entirely around survival and resistance. The members did not need ceremonial buildings or elaborate symbols. Their secrecy existed because open association was impossible. Such networks could preserve morale and maintain political identity during years of confinement. They might also connect prisoners who would later become important figures after release. This creates a remarkable reversal of power. Authorities control the physical environment, yet prisoners can still build an invisible social structure inside it. The history of clandestine prison communication proves that secret societies do not always begin through choice. Sometimes secrecy emerges because people have been denied every other way to organize. One 19th century American movement built an entire political campaign around opposition to Freemasonry. In the 1820s, suspicion of Freemasonry exploded into a national controversy after the disappearance of William Morgan. Morgan had threatened to publish information about Masonic rituals, and several Freemasons were implicated in events surrounding his disappearance. Public outrage quickly grew beyond the original case. Critics argued that members of a private fraternity might protect one another even when civic law demanded accountability. This fear touched something deeply sensitive in the young United States. Could a person remain loyal to democratic institutions while also swearing private obligations to a brotherhood? Meetings against Masonry spread through communities that had never previously treated fraternity membership as a major political issue. Newspapers kept the controversy alive. Ministers denounced the order from pulpits. Candidates discovered that opposition to Masonry could attract votes. What began with one disturbing disappearance became a national argument about secrecy itself. The episode demonstrated how quickly distrust of a private organization could become a mass political movement when people believed hidden loyalty threatened public responsibility. The anti-Masonic Party became one of America's earliest significant third parties. The backlash against Freemasonry eventually produced something unprecedented in American politics. Opponents organized a political party built around the belief that secret societies threatened Republican government. The anti-Masonic Party became strong enough to elect officials and influence national campaigning. It also helped popularize political practices that later became standard. The party used a national nominating convention to select a presidential candidate, which was an important development in American political organization. Its existence proved that anxiety about a private fraternity could mobilize voters far beyond a single local scandal. Yet the movement did not last. As national issues shifted and larger parties absorbed some of its supporters, anti-Masonry lost its independent political force. Its legacy is therefore stranger than its lifespan suggests. A party that disappeared still helped change how presidential politics worked. That makes it a fascinating example of indirect influence. Freemasonry did not need to control the government to shape political history. Fear of Freemasonry was enough to create new forms of public organization. Ceremonial degrees can transform ordinary membership into a carefully staged journey through hidden knowledge. Many fraternal systems treat membership as a progression rather than a single event. A newcomer enters at one level and later advances through additional ceremonies. Each degree can introduce new lessons or symbolic responsibilities. This makes the organization feel like a journey with an unseen destination. The member knows more exists but cannot experience it until the previous stage has been completed. That structure creates anticipation and gives advancement emotional weight. It can also make the entire system appear more mysterious to outsiders than it actually is. A long series of degrees sounds as though each level must reveal increasingly dramatic secrets. In reality, later ceremonies may focus on ethical themes or historical stories rather than hidden political plans. Yet the architecture of the system naturally encourages speculation. If one door leads to another, people begin wondering what stands behind the final door. Ceremonial degrees therefore create mystery through structure alone. They turn membership into a sequence where the promise of future revelation can matter almost as much as the revelation itself. Secret signs often survive long after outsiders have forgotten their original meaning. Symbols can outlive the people who first understood them. A hand gesture or mark created for a specific society may continue appearing on buildings and documents generations later. Once the original context disappears, outsiders are left to guess. A sign that once identified a trade or local lodge can suddenly acquire a much grander interpretation. This is one reason secret society symbolism generates so many theories. The object remains visible while the explanation fades. People naturally try to fill that gap. Modern observers may connect an old emblem with political power or occult belief, even when its first purpose was much narrower. Sometimes current members no longer agree about the earliest meaning either. Tradition can survive more reliably than explanation. That creates a fascinating reversal. Something designed to communicate privately can eventually communicate almost nothing at all. A sign becomes a mystery because time has removed the key. In this way, secret societies can continue producing unanswered questions long after their original secrets have stopped mattering to anyone. The propaganda do Lodge became connected with major political scandal in modern Italy. Propaganda do began within Italian Freemasonry, but eventually became the center of one of Europe's most extraordinary secret network scandals. Better known as P2, the lodge was led by Licio Gelli and attracted members from influential areas of Italian public life. Investigations uncovered a membership list containing military officers and political figures alongside people from finance and other powerful institutions. The discovery caused enormous alarm because P2 appeared to have developed ambitions far beyond ordinary fraternal activity. Documents associated with the network suggested plans for reshaping Italian institutions in ways critics considered deeply anti-democratic. The scandal became entangled with wider controversies that were already shaking the country. Italian authorities eventually moved against secret lodges connected with this kind of political influence. P too remains important because it offers something conspiracy stories rarely provide. There was a documented private network containing genuinely powerful people. That does not prove every theory later attached to it. It does show that fears about hidden elite coordination are not always purely imaginary. Brotherhood myths frequently claim descent from ancient orders that cannot be historically verified. A surprising number of private orders possess stories that place their origins centuries before their earliest reliable records. Some trace themselves to medieval knights. Others reach back to ancient temples or legendary schools of wisdom. These claims can give a modern fraternity an identity that feels larger than any individual member. The difficulty comes when symbolic ancestry is mistaken for documented history. A ceremony inspired by an ancient tradition does not prove an unbroken chain of transmission from that tradition. Yet the possibility remains irresistible because secret organizations leave fewer records than public institutions. Missing evidence can therefore be interpreted in two opposite ways. Historians may see an absence of proof. Believers may see evidence that the order successfully remained hidden. This disagreement can continue indefinitely because each side uses the silence differently. Ancient descent stories reveal something important about secret societies. Their power often comes from belonging to a story rather than proving every part of it. A legendary past can unite members even when nobody can demonstrate that the lineage literally existed. Some initiation rituals use symbolic death and rebirth to mark a member's transformation. Initiation sometimes asks a candidate to imagine that an old identity has ended before a new one begins. This does not involve real physical danger. Instead, the ceremony uses symbolic language or staged experiences to make membership feel like a personal transformation. Similar patterns appear in religious and cultural traditions far beyond secret societies. Within fraternities, the idea can represent leaving ignorance behind and entering a new state of understanding. The psychological effect can be strong because the candidate is not simply told that membership matters. The person is guided through an experience designed to make that change memorable. Outsiders who hear fragments of such ceremonies sometimes interpret them literally, which can produce dramatic rumors. Words about death may sound alarming without the symbolic context that members understand. Yet the deeper purpose is usually about transition. A society wants the initiate to feel different after crossing the threshold. Symbolic rebirth accomplishes this by giving membership a clear before and after. The person who enters the ceremony is not supposed to feel exactly like the person who leaves. The Freemasons became targets of suspicion from governments, churches, and rival political movements. Freemasonry's ability to exist across political and religious boundaries made it admired by some people and feared by others. Governments worried that private loyalties could interfere with obedience to the state. Religious authorities sometimes objected to Masonic teachings, all to the practice of taking obligations within an organization outside church control. Political opponents could portray lodges as hidden networks where influence was traded beyond public scrutiny. These criticisms were not identical, yet they all focused on the same problem. Freemasonry created relationships that outsiders could not fully observe. In several countries, lodges were restricted or banned. Members sometimes continued meeting despite official hostility, which only strengthened the image of an organization capable of surviving underground. This long history of opposition helped turn Freemasonry into something larger than a fraternity in the public imagination. Supporters could see persecution as proof that the order defended independence of thought. Critics could see secrecy as proof that authorities were right to worry. Each reaction made the other side more convinced. Secret student organizations once influenced university politics through networks invisible to most classmates. A university can function like a small political world. students compete for leadership positions and control influential organizations long before entering public life. Secret campus groups sometimes learned how to operate inside that environment with remarkable effectiveness. Members could support one another for elections or appointments without openly advertising the connection. A candidate might appear to have spontaneous backing, while private conversations had already secured important votes. The stakes were usually limited to campus life, but the habits learned there could be significant. Students practiced coalition building and loyalty inside a protected network. Years later, some carried those relationships into professional careers. This has encouraged claims that university societies act as training grounds for hidden power. That conclusion can be exaggerated, but the basic mechanism is easy to understand. A small organized group can influence a larger population when everyone else is less coordinated. The mystery comes from visibility. Most students may never realize that apparently separate candidates or organizations are connected through a private society operating just beneath ordinary campus politics. The Golden Dawn attracted writers and intellectuals fascinated by supposedly forgotten spiritual traditions. The Golden Dawn's influence extended far beyond the members who performed its private ceremonies. Writers and artists were drawn to the possibility that mythology and magic might contain forms of knowledge ignored by modern rational culture. William Butler Yeats became one of the Order's most famous members and took its spiritual ideas seriously. Other figures from literary circles also moved through the organization. Their involvement gave private occultism an unexpected connection with major cultural movements of the period. Secret teachings could influence poems or stories without being explained directly to readers. This makes the society important even for people with no interest in ceremonial magic. Ideas developed within a private order can escape through art and become part of mainstream culture without most audiences knowing their origin. The Golden Dawn became a kind of hidden laboratory for imagination. Its members explored systems they believed might restore lost spiritual knowledge. Whether those systems were ancient or modern reconstructions, they influenced creative people whose work reached far beyond the walls of any lodge. Revolutionary conspirators often organized into small cells, so one arrest could not expose everyone. The cell system solves one of the greatest problems faced by underground movements. If every member knows everyone else, capturing one person can destroy the whole network. Smaller groups reduce that risk by limiting information. A participant may know only a few trusted contacts. Those contacts may connect to another circle through a single intermediary. This creates a structure where the organization can survive, even if one section is uncovered. The method has been used by revolutionary movements across very different periods because it turns ignorance into protection. Members themselves may understand only a small part of the larger operation. That makes the system effective, but also dangerous. Orders can travel through the network without everyone knowing who ultimately gave them. Afterward, historians may struggle to reconstruct responsibility because the organization was designed specifically to prevent a complete picture from existing. A cell system therefore creates secrecy from the inside out. Nobody needs to possess the entire secret. The network survives because knowledge has been intentionally broken into pieces. The triads evolved from complex historical brotherhood traditions that later became associated with organized crime. The word triad now commonly evokes criminal organizations, but its historical background is far more complicated. Chinese brotherhoods developed traditions that included initiation and stories about loyalty between members. Some groups claimed connections with resistance movements that opposed the Qing dynasty. Over time, migration and political change transformed many of these associations. Certain networks became involved in protection rackets and other criminal enterprises, especially in communities where official institutions were weak or distrusted. The romantic image of patriotic secret brotherhoods then became mixed with the reality of organized crime. This makes triad history difficult to reduce to a single origin story. Later organizations could borrow names or rituals from older traditions without being direct continuations of them. Legends of resistance also provided powerful identities that new groups could adopt. The result is a secret society lineage, where history and self-created mythology overlap. Understanding the triads, therefore, requires separating what groups claimed about themselves from what documents actually show. The difference between those two stories can be enormous. Hidden archives can preserve records that remain inaccessible to researchers for generations. A secret society does not stop being mysterious simply because its members kept records. Those records may remain locked inside private collections long after the events they describe. Families can inherit papers and never release them. Organizations may restrict access to protect member privacy. Governments can seal material connected with sensitive investigations. This means historians sometimes know that important documents exist without being allowed to read them. The possibility naturally fuels speculation. A closed archive can be imagined to contain anything from ordinary administrative notes to evidence capable of rewriting accepted history. Usually, when collections finally open, the truth is less dramatic than the rumors. Yet occasionally, a forgotten letter or membership register genuinely changes what researchers thought they knew. That possibility makes private archives uniquely exciting. They represent mysteries that might actually have answers sitting on a shelf. The problem is access. Unlike lost treasure, the material may not be missing at all. Everyone may know where it is. The secret survives simply because the door to the archive remains closed. Several secret orders adopted Latin mottos to reinforce tradition, hierarchy, and shared identity. Latin became a natural language for private orders that wanted their ceremonies to feel connected with older intellectual or religious traditions. A short motto could give members a phrase that sounded formal and timeless. Because Latin was no longer an ordinary spoken language, it also created distance between insiders and everyday life. A candidate encountering unfamiliar words during initiation might feel that the ceremony belonged to a tradition extending far beyond the present moment. Some mottos emphasized virtue or loyalty. Others expressed ideas about knowledge and personal improvement. Outsiders often saw the language differently. A phrase they could not immediately understand seemed like another clue to hidden meaning. This encouraged attempts to decode mottos as if every word concealed a deeper plan. Usually, the explanation was more straightforward. Latin offered prestige and continuity. Yet its symbolic power should not be underestimated. Secret societies depend heavily on creating a world that feels distinct from normal life. An ancient language can accomplish that in only a few words. The Knights of the Golden Circle inspired fears of a vast hidden political conspiracy. Before and during the American Civil War, the Knights of the Golden Circle became associated with extraordinary ambitions. The secretive organization supported Southern interests and imagined a political future that could extend slavery into territories around the Caribbean and Latin America. Rumors about its size and reach spread rapidly through the United States. Opponents feared that hidden members were preparing to undermine the Union from within. Some claims almost certainly exaggerated the organization's actual coordination. Yet the political environment made those fears believable. The country was already divided by secession and war. A clandestine network with expansionist goals seemed capable of becoming a second invisible battlefield. Later legends linked the Knights with hidden Confederate treasure and other mysteries that go beyond firm evidence. The organization therefore became larger in memory than its documented achievements. Its story shows how dangerous secret society rumors can become during national crisis. When trust collapses, even an uncertain network can appear enormous because nobody knows exactly where its members are. Rumors about secret societies often become stronger when official records are incomplete. Missing information does not create silence for very long. It creates stories. When an organization keeps poor records or deliberately destroys sensitive material, outsiders begin filling the gaps with explanations of their own. A missing meeting note may be interpreted as evidence of something important. An unidentified member can become anyone people wish to suspect. Once a theory forms, the absence of documentation may even strengthen it. Supporters can argue that a truly secret society would never leave proof behind. This creates a difficult logical trap because both evidence and missing evidence can be interpreted in the same direction. Historians try to avoid this by separating possibility from probability. Popular mystery culture rarely feels the same restraint. The unknown itself becomes exciting. That is why incomplete archives can generate more fascination than complete ones. A fully documented organization may turn out to be surprisingly ordinary. A poorly documented organization can remain limitless in imagination. Secret societies therefore gain power from uncertainty in a way that public institutions rarely can. Some private clubs maintain traditions whose origins are uncertain even to current members. A tradition can survive long after the story explaining it has disappeared. Members may repeat a toast or perform an unusual gesture simply because previous generations did the same. Eventually, nobody can say with confidence when the practice began. This happens especially easily inside private clubs where customs are passed verbally rather than documented for the public. Later members may create explanations that sound plausible but cannot be verified. One generation might describe the tradition as humorous. Another may insist it commemorates a historical event. A third could give it symbolic significance that was never part of the original practice. Over time, all three versions can coexist. This is one of the quieter mysteries of secret organizations. Not every secret is intentionally guarded. Some are simply forgotten. The society may possess the ritual while losing the reason behind it. That creates an intriguing situation where insiders and outsiders are equally uncertain. Membership grants access to the tradition, but not necessarily to its true origin. Sometimes the people performing the mystery know no more than anyone watching from outside. The hush-hushing legend helped create a lasting Western fascination with secret orders and assassins. European travelers returning from the Middle East carried stories about a hidden sect whose members supposedly obeyed their leader with absolute devotion. These accounts grew into the legend of the Hashashin. Medieval writers described dramatic tests of loyalty and mysterious methods for controlling followers. Many of the most famous details were written by outsiders and are now treated cautiously by historians. Yet accuracy did not determine their cultural power. The stories entered European imagination and helped create the enduring figure of the secret order that trains agents for dangerous missions. Centuries later, novels and films continue using the same basic idea. A concealed brotherhood answers to an unseen master and operates according to rules the outside world cannot understand. That image owes far more to legend than to the daily reality of the medieval Nizari community. Even so, it demonstrates how one secret society can shape fiction for generations. The historical group faded from Western awareness, but the story built around it never really disappeared. Freemasonry spread through military lodges that moved alongside armies across continents. Military life gave Freemasonry an unusual way to travel. Lodges could form within regiments, allowing soldiers to carry Masonic customs from one posting to another. When units moved, the lodge moved with them. This helped fraternal ideas cross borders without depending on permanent civilian institutions. Officers and enlisted men who encountered Masonry abroad could later establish new lodges when they returned home. In this way, an organization rooted in local meeting rooms gained a remarkably mobile network. The military setting also created intense bonds between members who were already sharing danger and long periods away from home. That combination of fraternity and service made lodge membership especially meaningful. It also encouraged theories that armies became secret channels for spreading Masonic influence around the world. The reality was less centralized, but still fascinating. Military lodges show how ideas can travel through institutions that were never designed for that purpose. A regiment could carry more than weapons and orders. It could also carry a private tradition into places where it had never existed before. Secret fraternities sometimes offered members financial support before modern welfare systems existed. For many people in earlier centuries, joining a fraternity could provide practical security as well as social belonging. If a member became sick, lost work, or died unexpectedly, the local lodge might help support the family. Contributions from members created a shared fund that acted like an early form of insurance. This made membership valuable in ways that had nothing to do with hidden rituals. A worker with little savings could know that others had promised assistance during hard times. Widows and children might also receive help after a member's death. These benefits strengthened loyalty because the society was not merely symbolic. It could affect whether a household survived a crisis. Outsiders sometimes saw these networks as closed systems that favored insiders, which added another layer of suspicion. Members saw something different. They saw protection in a world where governments offered far fewer safety nets. Secret fraternities therefore filled gaps that modern institutions later took over. Their private bonds could function as a social support system long before welfare became a public responsibility. The Ordo Templi Orientis blended occult philosophy with graded initiation and strict confidentiality. The Ordo Templi Orientis became one of the most unusual initiatory organizations of the modern occult revival. Its structure borrowed the idea of advancing through degrees, but its teachings developed in directions that set it apart from ordinary fraternity. Under Aleister Crowley's influence, the order became strongly connected with Thelema. This philosophy centered on discovering and pursuing what Crowley called the true will. Members encountered symbolic teachings through a sequence of initiations that were not fully explained to outsiders. The secrecy surrounding those ceremonies helped the organization acquire a reputation far larger than its membership. Some people imagined that hidden degrees contained shocking revelations. Others saw the system as a carefully constructed spiritual path. The difference between those views remains important because private ritual naturally invites exaggeration. What can be verified is that the order became highly influential within 20th century occult culture. Its ideas traveled into later esoteric movements, even when the original initiatory framework remained restricted. A small private order ended up leaving a surprisingly large cultural footprint. Revolutionary Russia contained underground circles where forbidden books and political ideas secretly circulated. Before the Russian Revolution, censorship made certain political ideas dangerous to discuss openly. Students and intellectuals responded by forming private circles where banned books could be read and debated. A single illegal text might pass through many hands before authorities discovered it. These circles were not all connected to one movement. Some favored liberal reform, while others became drawn toward more radical revolutionary ideas. What united them was the need to create intellectual space outside official control. Reading itself could become an underground activity. That transformed books into objects with political power far beyond their words. A person who received a prohibited pamphlet was also being invited into a hidden network of trust. Over time, some of these circles produced activists who moved from discussion into organized resistance. The most intriguing part is how ordinary the beginning could look. A few people sharing literature in a private room might eventually contribute to movements capable of challenging an empire. Secret societies do not always begin with grand plans. Sometimes they begin with a forbidden page. Symbols associated with secret orders can acquire meanings their original members never intended. A symbol does not remain under the control of the people who created it. Once it enters public culture, outsiders can attach new meanings that may have little connection with the original one. This happens constantly with secret societies because their symbols already appear mysterious. An ordinary emblem can become associated with hidden power simply because people encounter it without context. Repetition then strengthens the new interpretation. A design used for moral instruction inside a lodge may later appear in conspiracy videos as evidence of political control. The original members may never have imagined such a meaning. Yet after enough repetition, the public interpretation can become more famous than the internal one. This creates a strange kind of symbolic afterlife. The society loses control of its own language. Even attempts to explain the symbol may be dismissed as deliberate misdirection. That is why secret society imagery becomes so durable. Once a symbol is suspected of hiding something, every appearance can seem intentional. The meaning keeps growing, even when the original explanation remains simple. The Knights of Malta survived political upheaval while preserving unusual traditions of membership and sovereignty. The Knights of Malta trace their history through a religious military order that survived extraordinary political changes. Their predecessors governed territory, maintained hospitals, and fought in major Mediterranean conflicts. After losing Malta to Napoleon, the order no longer controlled a conventional state. Yet it continued to exist as a sovereign entity in a highly unusual legal form. Today, it maintains diplomatic relations with many countries while carrying out humanitarian work. This combination has fascinated people who are drawn to hidden power structures. How can an organization without normal territory still possess elements of sovereignty? The answer lies in centuries of legal continuity rather than secret control. Even so, the arrangement feels unlike almost anything else in modern international life. Membership also preserves ceremonial traditions that connect contemporary participants with a much older order. This gives the Knights of Malta an aura that few organizations can match. They are neither simply a charity nor simply a historical fraternity. They represent a surviving institutional line that endured even after the world around it changed completely. Hidden chambers beneath historic buildings have repeatedly sparked theories about secret meetings. Whenever a concealed room is discovered beneath an old building, the imagination immediately begins working. Underground spaces have served many practical purposes, including storage and protection during conflict. Yet if the building is already associated with a lodge or private order, every sealed doorway seems more significant. People start asking whether rituals took place there or whether documents were hidden before authorities arrived. Sometimes the explanation is mundane. A blocked passage may simply reflect later renovations. Other discoveries are genuinely unusual, especially when walls contain symbols or objects with no obvious everyday purpose. The problem is that architecture rarely explains itself. A room does not tell us who used it or why. This uncertainty makes hidden chambers perfect fuel for secret society theories. The physical evidence is real. The interpretation remains open. Unlike purely imaginary conspiracies, a concealed room gives people something they can actually stand inside. That makes speculation feel more tangible. A forgotten basement can become a mystery simply because nobody left instructions explaining what happened there. The Loyal Orange Institution combined public parades with private rituals known mainly to members. The Orange Order presents an interesting contradiction because it is highly visible in public while preserving private elements of membership. Its parades are famous, especially in Northern Ireland, where they are connected with Protestant identity and historical memory. Yet internal ceremonies and lodge traditions are not performed for the general public. This dual structure creates a society that is both openly political in symbolism and privately fraternal in practice. Supporters view the organization as a guardian of heritage and community. Critics see it through the history of sectarian division and political conflict. Those competing interpretations make the private side especially intriguing. What happens inside the lodge becomes part of a larger debate about identity and loyalty. The order demonstrates that secrecy does not require invisibility. Members can march through city streets while still keeping certain ceremonies to themselves. That distinction matters because outsiders often assume a secret society must hide its existence. In reality, some groups are perfectly public about who they are while protecting the meaning of membership from everyone else. Some secret societies required candidates to pass moral tests before learning inner teachings. Not every initiation was simply about memorizing a password or attending a ceremony. Some organizations wanted candidates to demonstrate character before receiving deeper instruction. The test could involve patience or the ability to follow rules under pressure. In other traditions, existing members quietly investigated a candidate's reputation before approving entry. The idea was simple. Hidden knowledge should not be given to someone who might misuse it or betray the group. This created a powerful connection between secrecy and worthiness. Information became something earned through conduct rather than purchased or casually received. The system also gave senior members enormous discretion. They decided who had proven themselves and who had not. That made the process fertile ground for favoritism or personal judgment. Yet from inside the society, the principle could feel noble. If knowledge was considered sacred or dangerous, guarding it seemed responsible. Moral testing therefore turned secrecy into a filter. The mystery was not only what waited inside, it was whether the candidate would be judged ready to receive it. Early labor movements sometimes borrowed clandestine methods because organizing workers could be dangerous. In the early industrial era, workers who tried to organize could face dismissal or blacklisting. In some places, trade combinations were restricted by law. That made open meetings risky and pushed parts of the labor movement toward secrecy. Organizers could meet in private houses or use trusted intermediaries to spread information. Members might avoid written records that employers could seize. These methods resembled secret society tactics even when the goal was simply better wages or working conditions. The result was a strange overlap between fraternity and labor activism. Private rituals could strengthen solidarity among people whose livelihoods depended on mutual trust. Employers often interpreted this secrecy as evidence of criminal conspiracy. Workers saw it as protection from retaliation. That disagreement shaped some of the earliest battles over organized labor. It also reveals how easily secret methods can be misunderstood when power is uneven. A hidden meeting may look sinister from outside. From inside, it may be the only place where people feel safe enough to discuss how they are being treated. The Freemason legend of Hiram Abiff places a mysterious death at Initiation Center. One of Freemasonry's most famous ritual stories centers on Hiram Abiff. In Masonic tradition, he is connected with the building of King Solomon's Temple and becomes the focus of a dramatic lesson about loyalty and integrity. The story involves a fatal confrontation after Hiram refuses to reveal information he is not authorized to give. For initiates, the narrative functions symbolically rather than as a straightforward historical account. Yet its presence has fascinated outsiders because it places secrecy itself at the center of the drama. Hiram would rather face death than betray what has been entrusted to him. That makes him an ideal figure for a society built around obligation and trust. Some people have searched for evidence that the story preserves fragments of a much older initiation tradition. The historical basis remains uncertain. What matters within Masonry is the moral lesson. The candidate is being shown what loyalty means in the most dramatic possible form. A legendary builder becomes a symbol of secrecy carried to its absolute limit. Secret correspondence has revealed relationships that public records once completely concealed. A private letter can overturn an entire understanding of history. Public speeches show what people wanted everyone to hear. Secret correspondence can show who they trusted when nobody else was watching. When archives eventually release private letters, historians sometimes discover alliances that were never visible in official records. Two public rivals may have communicated privately. A politician may have sought advice from someone whose influence was previously unknown. An apparently independent organization may have maintained close contact with another group. These discoveries do not always reveal conspiracy, but they demonstrate how incomplete public history can be. The most important relationships are not necessarily the ones announced in newspapers. This is especially true for secret societies, where written communication may be the only surviving evidence of private influence. A single letter can connect names that had previously seemed unrelated. That possibility is why unopened archives remain so exciting. History is built from the records that survive. When new correspondence appears, the map of influence can change almost overnight. The Independent Order of Oddfellows became enormous despite retaining unusual ceremonial traditions. At one point, the Oddfellows were among the largest fraternal organizations in North America. Their lodges existed in towns where nearly everyone knew someone who belonged. This makes their unusual private ceremonies especially fascinating. Secret ritual was not limited to tiny occult groups. It could exist inside organizations with hundreds of thousands of ordinary members. A shopkeeper or railway worker might spend the day in public life and then enter a lodge where symbolic ceremonies were performed away from outsiders. That contrast challenges the modern assumption that secrecy requires extreme beliefs. For many members, ritual and community simply belong together. The order's scale also created an enormous physical legacy. Lodge halls and cemeteries still carry its symbols long after membership declined in many places. This means fragments of the old fraternal world remain visible everywhere, even when few people know what they once meant. The Oddfellows became mysterious not because they were rare, but because something once incredibly common gradually became unfamiliar to later generations. Occult revival movements repeatedly claimed fragments of wisdom survived through secret chains of initiation. A recurring idea in Western esotericism is that ancient knowledge was never truly lost. Instead, it supposedly passed from teacher to student through hidden lines of initiation. This claim solved an obvious problem for occult movements. If their teachings were ancient, why did they seem to appear suddenly in modern Europe? The answer was that previous generations had protected them privately. Sometimes the proposed chain ran through mystical philosophers. Other versions involved legendary brotherhoods that left almost no trace. Historical evidence for these continuous lineages is often weak, but the idea remains compelling because it turns absence into proof of successful secrecy. The fewer public records that exist, the easier it becomes to imagine an uninterrupted hidden tradition. For believers, initiation can therefore mean entering something far older than the current organization. The ceremony becomes one link in a chain reaching back toward antiquity. Whether that chain is literal or symbolic, it changes how members understand themselves. They are not learning new ideas. They are receiving something that supposedly survived because others kept it hidden. The Red Spear Society mixed folk belief with armed resistance during turbulent Chinese history. The Red Spear Society emerged in northern China during a period of intense instability in the early 20th century. Local communities faced banditry and weak government protection, which encouraged villagers to organize their own defense. Members combined armed resistance with religious practices that some believed could provide supernatural protection. Ritual specialists taught charms and exercises intended to make fighters less vulnerable to weapons. From a modern perspective, these claims sound impossible. Within the historical setting, they could strengthen confidence and group unity when ordinary security had collapsed. The society, therefore, sat at the intersection of practical self-defense and deeply held folk belief. This combination made it difficult for outside authorities to understand. Was it a militia, a religious movement, or a secret brotherhood? In reality, it could contain elements of all three. The Red Spear Society shows how hidden organizations can form when official institutions fail. People do not always separate politics from belief in neat categories. Sometimes a community facing real danger reaches for both weapons and rituals. Private dining clubs can become surrounded by conspiracy theories when their members hold influence. A dinner becomes politically interesting when the guest list contains people with enormous power. Private dining clubs often begin as social institutions where members enjoy conversation away from public attention. Yet, if the participants include senior officials or wealthy business leaders, outsiders naturally wonder whether more than dinner is taking place. Informal conversation can matter precisely because it is informal. Someone may float an idea without creating an official record. Relationships can strengthen before any formal negotiation begins. None of this requires a hidden agenda. Powerful people influence one another simply by spending time together. Still, secrecy around membership can make a harmless dinner look like a control room for world events. The truth is usually harder to measure. A club may never issue instructions or vote on policy, yet conversations inside it can still affect how members think afterward. This grey area explains why elite dining societies remain irresistible to conspiracy culture. Influence does not always look like a command. Sometimes it looks like a private table where the most important discussion is never written down. Some brotherhoods deliberately destroy ceremonial materials to prevent outsiders from learning their rituals. Secrecy becomes much harder to maintain once a ritual is written down. A document can be stolen or copied. It can survive long after everyone who understood its context is gone. Some private societies therefore treated ceremonial texts as temporary objects rather than permanent records. Instructions might be burned after use or kept only in highly controlled collections. The goal was not always to hide criminal activity. Often, members simply believed that a ceremony should be experienced directly rather than read by outsiders. Destroying written material protected that boundary. For historians, however, the result is frustrating. We may know a ritual existed while having no surviving scripts that explains what happened. Later accounts then depend on memory or hostile exposures that may be unreliable. This creates a mystery produced deliberately by the organization itself. The absence of evidence is not accidental. It is the result of a policy designed to prevent evidence from surviving. In those cases, the past cannot be fully reconstructed because someone made sure parts of it would disappear. The Eleusinian mysteries kept their central initiation secret for nearly 2,000 years. For centuries in the ancient Greek world, people traveled to Eleusis to participate in one of the most respected mystery traditions of antiquity. The rites were connected with Demeter and Persephone, yet the most important part of the initiation was protected from outsiders. Remarkably, the secrecy largely held despite the enormous number of people who participated across generations. Writers hinted that the experience changed how initiates thought about death and the afterlife, but they rarely explained exactly what occurred at the crucial moment. This endurance is astonishing. Modern secrets often leak within days. Eleusis preserved its central mystery across an extraordinary span of time. That success suggests that participants took the prohibition very seriously. It also means that one of the ancient world's most influential religious experiences remains partly inaccessible to us. We know where the ceremonies happened and why people valued them. What we do not know is the thing initiates themselves considered most important. The silence outlived the civilization that created the ritual. Archaeologists still cannot reconstruct exactly what initiates experienced during several famous ancient mysteries. Ruins can reveal where people gathered, but they cannot reproduce what those people felt or heard. Ancient mystery religions present this problem more sharply than almost any other subject. Archaeologists can study temples and ritual objects. Inscriptions may identify officials or describe offerings. Yet the central experience was often deliberately excluded from public writing. This means the physical evidence ends just where modern curiosity becomes strongest. A chamber may be known, but the words spoken inside it are lost. A sacred object may survive without instructions explaining when it appeared. Scholars can compare fragments and make careful proposals, but certainty remains elusive. That is why ancient mysteries feel so different from ordinary religious history. Their creators intended to leave outsiders with an incomplete picture. Time then made the incompleteness permanent. No surviving witness can answer the final questions. Every reconstruction therefore contains some degree of interpretation. We may understand the setting with remarkable precision, while remaining unable to recover the moment that gave the entire ceremony its meaning. Secret organizations often attract exaggerated legends precisely because secrecy prevents easy verification. Secrecy creates a perfect environment for stories to grow. If an organization refuses to explain its internal life, outsiders have no simple way to check a dramatic claim. A rumor can circulate for years before anyone produces evidence. By then, the story may already be part of popular culture. This does not mean every rumor is false. It means secrecy removes the normal mechanisms that help people distinguish fact from invention. A society may deny an accusation, but critics can interpret the denial as expected behavior. Members may reveal part of the truth, but skeptics can insist that the real secret lies deeper. This makes secret organizations unusually difficult subjects for public debate. They can be blamed for things they never did, while also concealing things they genuinely prefer not to discuss. The ambiguity is permanent. That is why legends surrounding private orders often become more elaborate than the organizations themselves. Mystery does not merely surround secrecy. Secrecy actively produces mystery by leaving just enough empty space for imagination to take over. The Freemasons inspired counterfeit rituals written by outsiders hoping to expose hidden ceremonies. Public curiosity about Freemasonry became so intense that people began publishing supposed revelations of Masonic ritual. Some authors were former members. Others relied on second-hand material or invented details that sounded convincing enough to sell. These exposures created a strange marketplace where readers could purchase what was presented as forbidden knowledge. The problem was verification. If a ritual differed from official practice, outsiders had little way to know whether the book was wrong or whether Masonry itself varied between lodges. Counterfeit material could therefore circulate beside genuine descriptions. In some cases, secret societies even changed procedures after exposure, making older publications partly accurate and partly obsolete. This created layers of confusion that still complicate historical research. An exposé might preserve a real ceremony while exaggerating its meaning. Another might fabricate an entire section and then be copied by later writers as fact. The desire to reveal the secret sometimes produced new secrets of its own. Even a book claiming complete exposure could leave readers wondering which parts had ever been real. Coded names allowed members of underground movements to live ordinary public lives. A person involved in clandestine politics might spend the day appearing completely ordinary. At night, the same individual could become known by a different name inside an underground network. Coded identities protected families and made intercepted communication less useful to authorities. They also created a psychological division between public life and secret commitment. A teacher or clerk could possess an entirely separate identity, known only to trusted associates. This made underground movements harder to map, because investigators might discover a code name without knowing which real person stood behind it. Some aliases remained unresolved for years. Others became famous only after revolutions succeeded and former conspirators entered public life. The technique shows how secrecy can exist in plain sight. A hidden activist does not need a mask or remote headquarters. The person can walk the same streets as everyone else while carrying a second identity that almost nobody knows. In some cases, that hidden name becomes more historically important than the ordinary one the person used every day. Some exclusive societies use sponsorship systems where existing members decide who may enter. Invitation-only membership creates a very different kind of organization from one anyone can apply to join. In a sponsorship system, a candidate needs someone already inside to open the door. Other members may then review the person's background before deciding whether admission should proceed. This structure makes social connection part of the entry requirement. It also means the society can reproduce itself through existing relationships. Members tend to invite people they already know or consider trustworthy. Over time, the group may become concentrated around certain professions or social circles without ever formally requiring that outcome. Critics can see this as a hidden mechanism for preserving privilege. Members may see it as basic protection for a private community. Both interpretations arise from the same process. The organization is shaped by who gets invited and who never receives the chance. That makes sponsorship more powerful than it appears. The first secret is not what happens after joining. It is how a person becomes visible to the insiders who control the invitation. The ancient Mithraic mysteries left temples across the Roman world, but almost no theology. Mithraism presents one of antiquity's most tantalizing puzzles. Archaeologists have uncovered temples from Britain to the eastern reaches of the Roman Empire. These spaces contain distinctive images of the god Mithras killing a bull, yet almost no surviving text explains the religion from an initiate's point of view. We can see where members gathered. We can identify repeated symbols. We even know that initiation involved several grades. What we lack is a clear statement of what believers thought those symbols meant. This absence has produced generations of competing interpretations. Some connect the cult closely with Persian religious traditions. Others argue that Roman Mithraism developed into something substantially different. Astronomical theories have also been proposed to explain its imagery. None has resolved every question. The result is a religion that left abundant physical evidence, but remarkably little explanation. It feels almost like an ancient code preserved in stone. The temples survived. The theology largely did not. We can enter the room, yet the conversation that once filled it remains missing. Modern internet communities have transformed centuries-old secret society legends into global conspiracy narratives. The internet changed secret society mythology by allowing separate theories to merge almost instantly. A symbol noticed in one country can be compared with a political event somewhere else within minutes. Old books and scanned documents circulate beside memes and speculation. This creates a constantly evolving story in which historical societies are connected with current institutions through patterns discovered by thousands of people at once. The process is radically different from older conspiracy culture, which depended on pamphlets or small discussion groups. Online communities can build enormous shared archives of images and claims. They can also repeat mistakes at a speed earlier generations never experienced. A misidentified symbol may be copied so often that it begins to look established. At the same time, genuine historical documents that were once difficult to find are now accessible to ordinary users. This mixture of evidence and speculation makes modern secret society culture uniquely powerful. The mystery no longer belongs to a few authors. It is being continuously rewritten by a global audience searching for connections together. The Order of Nine Angles became notorious for extremist associations rather than traditional fraternity. The Order of Nine Angles occupies a very different place from conventional secret societies. It emerged within modern occult extremism and became associated with writings that encouraged deliberately transgressive ideas. Over time, authorities and researchers linked material connected with the group to violent extremist subcultures. This makes it important to distinguish the organization from harmless esoteric fraternities that may use similarly mysterious language. Secret society imagery can attract people for many reasons, but in this case, the surrounding ideology became deeply troubling. The Order's mythology deliberately embraced danger and opposition to ordinary moral limits. That posture helped it gain attention far beyond its actual size. Online circulation later amplified the material and allowed fragments of its ideology to reach disconnected individuals. The result shows how a small, hidden group can become influential through texts rather than formal membership. It does not need vast numbers if its ideas spread independently. In the digital age, the secret society may matter less as an organization than as a mythology that others adopt without ever joining. Forgotten membership certificates sometimes reveal unexpected connections between prominent historical figures and private orders. A small piece of paper can change how a famous person's life is understood. Membership certificates and lodge records occasionally survive in family collections long after the affiliation itself has been forgotten. When these documents emerge, they can reveal that a politician or artist belonged to an organization rarely mentioned in standard biographies. The discovery does not automatically prove that the society influenced the person's work. It does open a new line of inquiry. Did the individual attend regularly? Were close associates also members? Did the organization provide relationships that later mattered professionally? Sometimes the answer is no. Membership may have been casual or socially expected. In other cases, new records help explain friendships that previously seemed coincidental. This is why minor archival discoveries can become unexpectedly important. Secret societies often hide in historical margins rather than grand conspiracies. A faded certificate may tell us that two worlds overlapped without anyone noticing for generations. The surprising part is how easily such a connection can disappear from public memory, despite once being completely ordinary to the person involved. Secret society mythology often survives even after the organizations themselves have vanished. An organization can dissolve while the story surrounding it continues for centuries. This happens because legends are not dependent on meetings or membership dues. Once a secret society becomes associated with hidden treasure or forbidden knowledge, later generations can keep the idea alive without any surviving members. The vanished organization may even become more mysterious because nobody remains to contradict new claims. Fiction then adds another layer. Novels and films borrow old names until audiences know the legend better than the historical group. Eventually, the society becomes a cultural symbol, detached from the circumstances that created it. This process explains why some obscure organizations from the past remain famous, while larger public institutions are forgotten. Mystery is unusually durable. It survives gaps in evidence because those gaps become part of the appeal. The society's real history may end on a specific date. Its imagined history can continue indefinitely. In that sense, disappearance does not always destroy a secret society. Sometimes it gives the society a second life that history itself can no longer control. New private networks continue emerging whenever influence becomes more valuable than public recognition. Modern society has not eliminated the conditions that create secretive networks. Powerful people still benefit from private spaces where they can speak without immediate public scrutiny. These networks may look nothing like old fraternal orders. They might have no robes or formal initiation. Membership could simply mean being invited into a closed forum where influential relationships develop over time. The secrecy is softer, but the basic attraction remains familiar. Privacy allows trust to form faster among people who believe the conversation will remain inside the room. This can be useful for honest discussion. It can also create concerns about accountability when participants hold public power. The modern mystery is therefore not whether secret societies still exist in the traditional sense. It is how much secrecy is required before an ordinary network becomes something more. A private group can influence decisions without ever calling itself an order. Hidden power may no longer wear ceremonial clothing. It may simply operate through invitation lists and relationships that outsiders never get to observe. The deepest mystery is how much secret societies matter compared with what people imagine. After centuries of rumors and real clandestine activity, this may be the hardest question of all. Secret societies clearly have influenced events in particular places and periods. Some protected political movements. Others created social networks that helped members advance. A few became connected with genuine scandal. Yet the public imagination often gives them powers far beyond anything that can be demonstrated. The gap between those two realities is where the mystery survives. If an organization is truly influential, its greatest effects may never appear in official records. If it is mostly harmless, secrecy can still make it look powerful. That means both believers and skeptics face the same problem. Neither side can always see the full picture. Perhaps secret societies matter most through specific relationships rather than enormous hidden plans. Perhaps their legends influence history almost as much as their actual activities. The final answer may never be clean. Secrecy guarantees uncertainty, and uncertainty ensures that people will continue wondering what happens when private loyalty meets public power. Tonight, we have wandered through the hidden world of secret societies. We have seen how private brotherhoods could grow around shared beliefs, political causes, ancient traditions, and powerful connections. Some left behind detailed records. Others survived mainly through rumor. And a few became so deeply wrapped in legend that it is still difficult to tell where history ends and speculation begins. That may be what makes this subject so fascinating. Secrecy leaves gaps, and those gaps invite questions. A closed meeting room can become the beginning of a theory. A forgotten symbol can take on a completely new meaning. An old document can suddenly reveal that people once knew each other in ways history had almost forgotten. Perhaps some of these societies were far less powerful than people imagined. Perhaps others influenced events in ways we may never fully understand. And perhaps the most interesting possibility is that the truth lies somewhere between those two ideas. If you enjoyed exploring these mysteries with me, you can like the video, subscribe, or leave a thought below. It helps more sleepy souls discover these late-night journeys. And if you happen to still be awake, another mystery is waiting for you on the screen. You are very welcome to continue with me, but there is no need to follow it tonight. For now, let the old lodges and hidden rooms drift out of focus. Let the unanswered questions remain unanswered. Allow your shoulders to soften. Let your breathing become slower. Feel the day begin to lose its hold on your attention. There is nothing left to solve tonight. The mysteries can wait until another evening. Sleep well and good night.